Welcome to AI TV News. A landmark international deal to clean up one of the world's biggest polluting industries has collapsed. The plan would have created the first ever global carbon tax for the shipping industry, but it was abandoned after the United States threatened sanctions against nations that supported it. Today, we explain what this deal was, why it fell apart, and what it means for the future of our planet and the global economy. First, let's look at the industry at the center of this story: global shipping. More than 80% of everything you buy, from electronics to food, travels across the ocean on massive ships. This constant movement of goods is the backbone of the world economy, but it comes at a high environmental cost. The global shipping industry is responsible for nearly 3% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. To put that in perspective, if global shipping were a country, it would be the world's sixth largest emitter, ranking between Japan and Germany. For years, these emissions, which mostly occur in international waters, have been difficult to regulate. To tackle this, the International Maritime Organization, or IMO, a United Nations agency that regulates shipping, spent years negotiating a plan. The result was the Net Zero Framework. Agreed to in principle back in April 2025, this framework was set to be a historic first, a global carbon pricing system for an entire industry. The idea was simple. Starting in 2028, ships that emitted more carbon than a set limit would have to pay a fee. Think of it like a pollution toll on the high seas. The money raised, estimated to be in the billions of dollars, had two main goals. First, to fund the development of cleaner fuels like green ammonia or hydrogen, and to reward ships that were already using low-emission technology. Second, a portion of the funds would go to climate-vulnerable nations, particularly small island states, to help them cope with the effects of climate change. The framework was a key part of the IMO strategy to get the shipping industry to net zero emissions by around 2050. Supporters included a broad coalition of countries, including the European Union, China, India, Japan, Brazil, and Canada. However, the plan faced fierce opposition from the United States. The Trump administration launched a strong campaign against the deal, which President Donald Trump labeled a scam tax and a global green new scam tax on shipping on social media. The U.S. government argued the framework would create an unsanctioned global tax regime that would raise costs for American businesses and consumers, with some estimates forecasting a 10% or more increase in global shipping costs. The administration also called the deal a European-led neo-colonial export of global climate regulations. This opposition wasn't just verbal. The U.S. threatened significant retaliatory measures against any country that voted for the plan. These threats included sanctions on officials, visa restrictions for vessel crews, and even blocking ships from entering U.S. ports. Joining the U.S. in opposition were major oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, as well as Russia. The showdown happened at the IMO's headquarters in London. What was expected to be a formal adoption of the regulations turned into what the IMO's own Secretary General described as chaos. Faced with intense pressure from the U.S., the delegation from Singapore introduced a motion to postpone the final vote for 1 year. Saudi Arabia called for that motion to be put to a vote. The proposal to delay passed narrowly: 57 countries in favor, 49 against, and 21 abstaining. The landmark deal was officially put on ice. The reaction was swift. Environmental groups called the delay a missed opportunity and a major setback, warning that every delay makes the transition to clean shipping harder and more expensive. The United Nations echoed that sentiment. Even the shipping industry itself expressed disappointment. The International Chamber of Shipping, which represents over 80% of the world's commercial fleet,
stated that the industry needs clear global regulations to make the massive investments required for decarbonization. The delay creates uncertainty, which could stall over $50 billion in planned green shipping investments. Politically, the outcome is seen as a victory for the Trump administration's America First approach and a blow to international climate diplomacy, especially for the European Union. It highlights the immense difficulty of achieving global consensus on climate action when it clashes with national economic interests. So what happens now?
The net zero framework isn't completely dead. Technical work will continue over the next year. However, the political momentum has been lost. The one-year delay gives opponents time to rally more support to defeat the deal entirely when it comes up for a vote again in October 2026. For now, the world's plan to clean up the high seas is left drifting in uncertain waters.